But look, another thing to look at is go back and look at how all these decades have ended. Look at 99 and everybody was scared to death of the whole computer crash in 20. I mean, it was just such fear going on and chaos and nobody knew what to do. Look at what happened at the end of this decade. It seems like right at the end of these decades, over the last few of them, it got real chaotic. Real chaotic.
Yeah.
And then it kind of smooths out and moves into the next decade. And, but it seems like right there at the end of the decade, things spike and get real chaotic.
Yeah, I remember we were in a church group back then. We all went home on the New Year's Eve, 2000. We thought everything was going to shut down. We filled all our bathtubs full of water. We filled our sinks up full of water.
The same thing as Frankfurt. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I remember waking up the next morning and like, is everybody still alive?
Yeah. Did the world just stop?
Seemed like
or
we're
what?
just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you hear me say a lot of times. I wake up, I tell Patty, well, I'm going to go outside and see if the world's ended yet.
Yeah.
Maybe we're the only two left on the entire planet. Who knows? Good evening, everyone. Good to be here. I'm looking, I want to see if we can see Michael. Can you see Michael in there? In the big one? White? Yeah. You can see him? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want him to squeeze out. Well, it's good to be here. I think Alan's coming, but he'll be in just a little while. And this is our last one of the year, our last session. While summer coming on, I would like to say that I don't know what I've done with my phone. I do want to get that. I think it's in there. Tell Patty to get it off my nightstand. I believe it's in there on the nightstand.
No, I think that's that.
And I do want to say that this coming Sunday there won't be any session fellowship going on. Joseph and I are going to be leaving, going to the farm for 5 days of hunting. So this Friday we leave on the 1st, and we won't be back until like the morning of the 6th. So this Friday and Sunday there'll be nothing, and we'll come back together the following Sunday. So I can't remember what date that will be, but it's somewhere around the 9th, that Sunday. But anyhow, it'll be that Sunday.
Friday's the 8th. So
Yeah.
Sunday would be
The 10th.
10th.
Okay. So have a great weekend. Have a great New Year's. Have a great all that. Wish you the best. But we won't be back on until the 10th of January. So discussion-wise, I just kind of wanted to. I've got Brother Rick, Brother Stephen, and Michael's acting like he's lost looking for my phone. And we'll just kind of start out by talking about this is 2020, and it's the end of it. And looking back across 2020, I will say this has been my very best year of all the years that I've been in the ministry and in the message. This has been my very best. Even in my personal life, the things that I accomplished, I can't say there was ever a better year than 2020. The things that we came through, the things that were opened up to us. But anyway, I wanted everybody to just kind of talk about 2020, what it did for you. Just talk about 2021.
Go first. You're right.
I would have to agree with 2020 has actually been one of the best years that I can remember for me, for my family. I've watched many things take place in my family, some things that some of us have went through that were really hard times. People were able to turn around and come together, correct whatever was in their life, maybe to acknowledge family a little more, to understand each other a little more, and to grow with each other a little more. Business-wise, it's been a rough year, but we've done very well in growing and understanding. And I know a lot of people seem to think 2020 has been one of the worst years that have ever happened. Spiritually, I think if you are actually paying attention to some of the things, it's been a great awakening. It's been a great understanding. Many of the things that have come out, you should have been able to grow in it, to deal with those things, to help your family deal with these things, and it's been a great growing period, I think, for all of us. But I do look forward to moving and progressing into 2021, and we don't ever stop moving, we don't ever stop growing.
That's right.
So I'm looking forward to more, beyond perfect vision. And I just want to say it's good to be here. Good to be with you again.
Good to be here again with you.
Yep. So, love bless everybody out there. I know we haven't been here for a little while, and we've been meaning to, and it's been good to be back and just visiting and sharing each other, and being with each other. Love bless everyone.
Good morning or afternoon, everyone. It's been a while. It's a real blessing to be here with Brother Don and Patty and Daniel and Connie and Stephen and Michael. There's still a few people in the United States that are in the flow of the Spirit. There's a few people still love Brother Don and what he's bringing in America. So never think that he's alone here, because he's not. 2020, you could probably spend hours talking about 2020 and all the events and the things that's happened. When 2020 started, we thought, wow, this is going to be great. 2020's perfect vision. We're just going to come to the most perfect understanding. Everything's going to be cleared up. We're going to see things we've never seen, and it happened. It happened that way. Spiritually, so many things have been brought out over the year. The messages that were brought out, the things that we see, messages such as why we are here, this is not a battleground, the duality, so many things that has broken open to us, and especially the natures of the Spirit. It's a great thing. Spiritually, it's been the greatest unveiling and year of discovery that we've ever had, that humanity has ever had. And I have to say that politically too, in the other realms, things have been unveiled. Sometimes when things are uncovered, they're not always beautiful. They're not always pretty. There's always the contrast. And what we've seen out here in the world politically and religiously, it was ugly and disturbing. But if you kept your spiritual mind and realized that there's only one Spirit, and when He moves, it touches everything and everyone, every place, every corner of the earth. And whatever nature's there, that nature's going to come to life, and it's going to manifest itself. So it has been a great year. It's been a disturbing year for many, difficult year. Even in my mind, I struggled with some things too that I had to take a step back and say, hey, wait a minute. This is not me. It was so easy to get caught up in the with Trump and with all the things going on and the left and the right and the battle there and all the injustice. If you focused on that, then you didn't have a good year. You probably ended up separating from your friends, maybe some of your family, and that was not the intention for the Spirit to bring all this revelation to us in this day. It was to bring us together so that we could rise above those things. Business done really well this year. Family done really well this year. And I'm a blessed man. I'm a blessed man to be here. All the things that I've gone through to get to this day. Every experience was perfect. It's exactly what I needed to be here right now. And I appreciate what Don and the people here in Dayton do for the body all over the world. So want to wish you a happy new year. Love bless you. Stay healthy. And just keep moving forward.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be here with Brother Don. He's been a gracious host, as always, and we've had a really good time just talking and hanging out. And yeah, it has been a while since we've been here, unfortunately, but it always feels good when we come back here, and we're always refreshed and, you know, mentally and emotionally rejuvenated. Yeah, I don't usually have as much to say as Stephen or Dad, but I just want to say that, yeah, it has, you can look at it from this year from many perspectives. Most people out there are looking at it from a negative perspective or had a negative experience, but I think that all that negativity is only surfacing because there's actually a lot of good things and positive things that are coming out, and it has to balance it out. So I would just say, you know, I hope you're all doing really well. I hope you are all equalizing things in your life and not hanging on to that negativity. Or yeah, so that's about all I got to say. Thank you.
Well, Happy New Year, everybody. It's nice that we're still here. And I love to see everybody together again. It's been a while, but it's always a blessing to have everybody with us. And thank you, Don, for everything you have done for us and the body. And I'm very blessed to be where I'm at. Thank you.
Well, I'd have to say more than anything, 2020 has turned out to be one of the most surprising years out of this decade. But looking back on it, I would say one thing stands out most. It is a year with what we have unveiled, what we have moved into. We are learning to turn inward and look at ourselves like we have never ever done. And the more we've done that, the more we have discovered about humanity as a whole. And I like that. Even as chaotic as things are, it's because everybody is starting to look inward. And because they're upset or happy, whichever way it goes, it brings out a lot of chaos. But that'll be all right, because at the end of every decade, when that chaos comes, the next decade will start out smoother. So I'm grateful for that. Coming here every week is the highlight of my week, to listen to where we're going. Because sometimes, you know, you're on a trip, And like a kid, you're not sure where you're really going. And you just got to keep asking the parents, where are we going? Where are we headed? And it kind of, we get together here and we find out where we're headed, where we're going, and how to look at ourselves along the way. And I like that. So in that regards, I think it's been a very productive year, a very insightful year, and I think next year is going to hold some real surprises as we move into it and learn to quit looking outward at everything for what we need and what we desire and start to look inward. Because if you want to help other people especially, you got to learn how to help yourself. You got to figure out who you are. Once you do that, then you can help other people. So it's been a good year for that, and I'm grateful, very grateful for that.
Well, 2020 for me has been a real unbelievable year when it comes to just being still and listening and hearing so many things that I have not heard before. I'm not always talking about somebody talking. Sometimes it's hearing the voice in me most of the time. But hearing so many things that brought us the whole concept of duality. Yes, for years we've said we're in oneness, and for a few years now we've talked about the whole concept of oneness. There's no God or Satan. Those are attributes and processes of one spirit. We talked about those things, but when we hit this time around in 2020 on duality, it just really came alive. And I know I had hundreds of people writing me and saying, we didn't see this. We've been talking about duality for a long time and how we're not a dual personality, but we are just one person. And now we understand, and we understand that the light and the darkness and the evil and the good and the trouble and the peace and the rotten and the ripe and all everything is just us. And it's us going through processes, and maybe we didn't stay in a process long enough to mature in it, or maybe we stayed in a process a little too long and rotted a little in it. Brother Branham said that a seed has to rot in the ground before it comes forth. So I have found where we've done that a few times. Then I've found where we jumped scale and didn't stay in a process very long, and we were pretty green in it, and it took some time to ripen up. So that whole concept, if you go back through the year, and you take the messages, and we went back there and we said, these things that you read about, trumpets, seals, and plagues, and church ages, and all the different things we read about, it doesn't do us a bit of good to try to pinpoint it to an age out there somewhere and make it a historic thing or make it a future thing. What does us the very best is when we take those things and convert them into a cycle within us, into an individual cycle within us. And you start moving through the concepts of a resurrection, a body change, a rapture, a wedding supper, a tribulation, a millennial reign, a white throne judgment, Gog, Magog, and out into the new earth. We used to just think of that in linear points, expecting it to happen as we come down through the ages. And this was the year where we turned internally and said, those are just cycles in the human being. Those are cycles of humanity. And then we came back and took the church ages, and we took the the seals and the trumpets and the vials and the thunders, and we said, you know, we can point out there and say it's a bride, or we can point over here and say it's the devil, or point up here and say it's God. But until you take those processes and you internalize them in you, they don't do you any good. And we did that. We took all those processes, internalized them into us. And I don't know about you, but for me it brought me out a much stronger, more understanding person of the Bible and of myself. And I was able to fit my nature into every circumstance of the Bible. I could fit my nature that wasn't too great into personalities in the Bible, and I watched those personalities and how they turned out, and I learned how to kind of adjust things in my life. And I looked at other personalities and I seen patterns, and I said, you know, I could see those patterns were in me, and I would use what I seen back and forth, and all of a sudden, like I said, all of the characters of the Bible are me. All of the patterns of the Bible are me. All of the cycles of the Bible are me. It is us. And we are carrying it out. And before you can ever be an effective person in the collective body, you've got to be an effective person in the individual. Because that one cell doesn't do anything but infect the body if it's not in good shape. So individuality means a lot. And that's probably, then coming back around, there were so many more things, but coming back around, looking at the nature and pinpointing out and detailing and looking at what is a male nature, what is a female nature, and what nature is spreading across the earth now. That helped me a lot. It helped me a lot to understand what's going on. It helped me to come in contact more with the nature that I needed in me. Sometimes that's a male, sometimes that's a female. And by being able to understand what to use, when to use it, how to use it, what the patterns are, and then to be able to look at the earth and see the pattern of the earth and that woman nature, I was able to see where we're at, right down to today, right now, tonight, where we are at in the collective body of Christ and the movement that's going on. So I hope 2020 has been a blessing. I wanted to read this and just us kind of have a little discussion about it. I posted this. One person wrote here just now. He said, there is so much beauty in chaos because there's a lot of unknown things unveiled during those moments, and the innermost part of what chaos is, where we find love and serenity. And it's true. When that chaos is going on around you, if you studied it all, you know, a nuclear bomb is just as little as the pencil head, smaller than an eraser on the end of a pencil. That nuclear, it's minute. But what happens is when the trigger for the bomb is set off and puts it into action, it begins to, all of those molecules and atoms begin to move all around it. And they begin to move at such a high speed, an extremely high speed, that they begin to heat it up. And the hotter it gets, and the hotter it gets, and the hotter it gets, and the higher the speed, and the more breakdown of the molecules and the atoms around it all at once, it comes into a nuclear heat, and that little bitty spot explodes and will blow up entire cities. And so that's kind of what goes on is we get just a little bitty sight of something. You know, it's like looking through a little keyhole, and we keep looking around and we keep looking around, and it keeps getting hotter and hotter, and more detail and more molecules and more word and more everything just moving around, getting faster and faster and faster. Everything's beginning to come to an understanding. Then it just explodes, and it goes across the entire earth like a nuclear weapon, and just covers the earth, covers the glory of the Lord, and fills the whole earth where we are at. So that's kind of where we're at. And I wanted to read this and get your idea a little bit. Prophets come and prophets go, and they are good for the age that they manifest in. However, Christ, humanity, the anointed one, it remains and continues in all its gifts, its love, its talents that are in each one of us. We are not looking for the last prophet, and we're not looking for the next future prophet. We're Christ. We're the one thing that always remains humanity. There is no other. And there's still a concept among a lot of, I don't know what to call ourselves, love divine people, free people. Maybe that's the best thing. Like, we're just free people. We're free from.
Peacemaker.
There's still a concept among many of the free people that prophets are they're the absolute. And there has to be an absolute in this age right here. And when he speaks, nobody else has anything to say. I see it among people. I hear it among people. So I was just wondering what a prophet means to you, and if you really do think we need any of that, not only prophets, but all of that carried the Piscean age through the last 2,000 years. All of those gifts, 9 spiritual gifts, all of those offices, and 5 spiritual offices, and all of those deacons, and all those trustees, and all of those, everything that just kind of carried us through. Is there any place for it in this age?
Unless you look within. I mean, if you're looking for a prophet out there to help lead and guide you, you're lost. You're just flat lost. If you look within for the prophet to lead and guide you, yes, you'll find what you need. What you need is within you. It is you. You are the prophet. So quit looking and just be. Just be.
And to me, if even looking for help, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But understand that the help is you. It's not some special gift over there that so-and-so's got beyond everybody in the whole wide world, and we need him more. No, the help is just you. And it may come from Mike one time, and Stephen the next, and Daniel the next, and me the next, and you the next. And it's just a collective body.
Right.
And as long as we put these special things up here, just to put it plain, it's a target that the whole world starts shooting down. And
that's what always bothers me with everyone that wanted to put a bullseye on your back. You know, Don's a prophet, Tori's a prophet. Well, we know your gift. All of us know your gift. But to put a bullseye and label you as the prophet, as the absolute, it's shooting arrows right at you. You don't need that in your life. We don't need to see that in your life. So for those that are looking for a Tory to be their absolute, going to be their absolute prophet, you're going to be disappointed. He'll be the first one to tell you you're going to be disappointed. Quit looking for him to be your absolute prophet and follow the flow of the Spirit.
Yeah.
Follow the Spirit, whether it's Tory or Donald speaking at the time, or Michael or Connie or anyone that flow of the Spirit, you follow that Spirit, and you will find a prophet within yourself.
Yeah.
And not out here looking for some absolute. Quit putting the bullseye on my brother's back. Because I keep jumping in front of the arrows and trying to help him, and I'm tired of helping him.
I believe that there did have to be somebody that spearheaded, and it wasn't just one person. I'm just saying somebody had to spearhead into something, penetrate into something, and as soon as that person penetrated, he brought forth more people to come after him. Like even when I look at Don, a lot of the things that he's taught and searched for, and when I think and hear the things that he says, and then the things that he applies it to his own body and stuff like that, and his mind, those are things that I say, you know what, I can apply that to myself.
That's right.
I have that same thing inside of me. I'm going to be able to use that. It's becoming fishers of men or fishers of yourself. You're able to turn within. And I think that's what the most important thing is about all of this. It's bringing things out of each other, bringing things out of yourself, and being able to practically apply those things to your life. That's the ministry. I mean, that's the word. That's the life.
And if he says something that doesn't apply to your life, don't try to follow it thinking, well, I got to follow it because it's the law, because a Tory said I got to do this. No.
Yeah, it's things, well, wow, that's really appealing to me. I believe I could use that in my life, and that's what,
And if you can't, toss it aside and move on.
The word prophet, it's part of that cycle. When there's a transition or a change that needs to be made, the Spirit picks up that gift, whoever that person is, and makes the transition. Well, the transitioner is not important. It's the transition that needs to be looked at and focused on and followed.
The woman,
not the person that initiated the transition.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the change.
Yes.
The transition is a female.
that's the body, yeah.
It's always the female spirit. So a prophet, everybody's screaming, females, be quiet, you can't speak up in church, you gotta be silent, you can't preach, you can't do this, you can't do that, give me a prophet. Yeah. You're screaming, female, shut up, give me a female. Female, you can't speak, give me a female.
Yeah.
Female, you can't.
That's absolutely right.
And it's so confusing to you because you're banging your head silly over females, and then you're trying to worship a female. And I have said at night and just said, geez, are people ever going to understand that it's a nature that moves into the earth?
And I think that's why there's such a duality with the female. I mean, you look at it all through the scripture, it's, I hate you, I love you. You had a whore's forehead, you're my love. You're drunk off the blood of the saints. You're standing on the moon and pure and holy in a garment. It's always that duality with the female. It's always that duality with the earth. At one minute you love this thing, next minute, man, I hate this thing. That's the way a lot of people are.
Yeah.
And that's the duality of the flesh. It's really just one thing.
It's one thing.
It's just dancing. It's always been that dance.
Yeah. Okay. I just kind of wanted to hear what people had to say. Nobody really said anything about it.
There's one comment. Michael,
I think I read that one already.
did you?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So we're in this transition. The female woman nature is leading the dance. The prophets have heralded us into this day, the female voice. And so now, here we are in the middle of it, and I've watched people, and it has really become kind of possessive in a lot of people's lives. That's why I wrote this. Possessiveness. Why are people so possessive? You name it, whatever. And today, most are possessive about it. geographical nations, states, personal property, reputation, money, food, clothes, transportation, water, education, gender, race, politics, and so much more. I could just keep going at it. What has brought on such a possessiveness? Aggression, this is a second part of that possessiveness, swiftly comes into view if any of these things, and a whole lot more things that I just mentioned, if any of these things are threatened in a person to the least little bit. Ready to fight, ready to lose friends over it, ready to just, it's an aggressive, terrible spirit. Can anyone think about why? Can we ask ourselves why and then talk about it? It's not in my nature to be that way. I'm trying to understand it. I'm watching it growing, and I'm trying to understand it. A possessiveness that is so possessive it leads into aggression, anger, sometimes breaking ranks, breaking friendships, all kinds of things. Would kill your brother like Cain did if you could. No one knew about it and there was no law about it. Some people, good people that I know, would. What brought on such an aggressiveness?
Well, this is my thinking. We've had that duality mentality throughout the years. And before this pandemic hit, you had so many distractions that pulled you away from the home. I mean, everything, your job, your schooling, everything, churches, everything pulled you away from the home. It fed into the spirit of, I got to get away. I got to get away. I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm just so busy. Your mind was so clouded with things that you had to get done. Then the pandemic hit, and all that's gone. Schools closed, colleges closed, churches closed, businesses, restaurants. The only place you had to go was home. That was it. You couldn't go anywhere else but home. Go home, go to your family, tend to your family. So the flow of the Spirit was, take care of family. Let's get the home life together. Let's get your mind situated to where it's supposed to be. But then you still have that fight or that aggression side saying, I got to get away. Well, what I think happened, and it all centered around politics, that aggressive spirit that's still in the earth said, I got to find a way to pull people out of their house, to pull people out of their mindset of home. And here the politics hit. And then you had a war between Democrat and Republican, just to be blunt. Yeah. And with that war and with that pull away from your home, it pulled you from your friendships. It pulled you out of, houses divided because of politics. The thought of going to a church and relaxing, you can't because some of them are Democrats, some of them are Republican. That whole political thing forced that aggressive spirit back into your home life where you tried to get away.
You were supposed to go to church, and some said, the government said, shut it down.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be there.
Yeah. So I think the flow of the Spirit was saying, relax, get into yourself, and get into your home. But the aggressive spirit of the earth that's been going on for years is saying, no, get out of there, and I got to do something drastic to pull you out.
So home, in some kind of context, is the only thing you had left, and it became an ingrowth of survival.
Mm-hmm.
Just real survival instincts.
Mm-hmm.
And stop taking things from me. That's the concept.
Yeah, this is fear. This is who I am. This is what I have.
Yeah.
It's my identity.
It's my identity.
And I tell you what really hurt me, because I've been blessed to be able to work a lot this year, and I missed a lot of services. But to come back and find out that friends have fallen away from you that have been with you for years over politics, that is the most ridiculous crap. It hurt me. to fall away from someone over politics is just stupid. And I hope you're listening. And please give me a call so I can chew you out. It's stupid to fall away from someone that you've been with as a friend, a dear friend, for many, many, many years, and all the battles we've all been through, to walk away over politics. But again, that's a spirit of aggression. And it's bringing out the spirit of aggression in me.
I was just sitting here thinking, listen to this aggression.
I think on a big scale, there's a nature that comes from every age. And one of the characteristics of the Piscean age, the nature, was possessiveness. Conquer. And then it became conquer and divide, conquer and divide.
Vertical, yeah.
And he kept going and kept going. Now, as that age ended, and we move into a different age, that program won't work anymore. So what happens is it turns on itself and it totally divides everybody. Why? To expose itself as not being the right nature for the age we're moving into. And I think that's what it's kind of done. It's grabbing a hold of everybody and shaking everybody and made them aware. Because one of the things we've been fighting for is freedom. And now what is that nature doing? It's attacking that very thing. You can't even think and say things in your own home or in your own neighborhood. That freedom is challenged. Yeah. I think that was a big aspect of that nature, and ended as it ended in that age, and we're going into a whole really true free age. Then that has to come out. And what better way for it to come out than for it to put everybody against everybody and stand there and look at each other aggressively. Yeah. It has to happen, because it gets everything going, and then suddenly you stop and go, wait a minute, where am I at? What am I doing? What is going on here? So it brings on that reflectiveness to teach us we need to drop that and move into a different, higher mentality.
And then instead of, once that aggression rolls out, instead of accepting one another and saying, I can accept Michael with his differences, and he differs with me, but I can accept him. That aggression rolls out and says, everybody's got to be the same as me. So, in a sense, they drop right back into that sameness program that says, you got to dress like me, you got to walk like me, you got to act like me, you can't smoke like me, you can't drink like me, you can't cuss like me, you can't do on and on and on. You got to be just like me. And that's that aggression. Aggression says, you're going to be like me. I'm going to conquer you. You're going to be like me.
The Piscean age was also the I believe. You're dealing with the I belief system.
Yes.
And in order to get to where you want to go, you have to believe in these things, and that's the whole system was built on. I believe there's another continent across the world. I'm going to sail out there. The Aquarian characteristic is I do, I will. It's a relationship. It becomes in your face.
Yes.
You don't get to run away from this. You don't get to just float by and believe a certain way where you won't be found, have to deal with your situation, your problems, your thoughts, your ideologies.
Yeah.
Everything comes out in the Aquarian age because it becomes a personal relationship. It's a marriage.
Yeah.
It's the marriage. It's like me and my wife. My wife does not let me leave. If we argue, we have to settle it there. She will not. You're not going anywhere, We're dealing with this now, and that's exactly the way it is.
Yeah.
You have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Or else it'll come in something else, some other form, and come right in front of you.
Form that you create.
That's right.
Now.
Absolutely.
One of the sisters wrote and said, when I put this out, I thought it was good. They said, it is because we have been taught by the system that there is something lacking in us, when in reality, we are not, and there's nothing lacking. We've been taught to look outside of us to have something, when everything that we have been looking for is already inside of us. We're abundant in nature, but scarcity is just an illusion, and it is coming from the frequency of fear. So we're now teaching we've got everything in us. And all of a sudden, there's an aggression. If we find something out there, there's kind of an aggression to say, that's not good because it's not in me. Or an aggression to say, by God, that's going to change and it's going to be like me, instead of accepting it the way it is and saying, there's a sense of that in me, and that person is me, and that person's ideas is me, and I'll just make some adjustments here, we'll be okay. But you get that extreme aggression. I thought one of the others, he said, he's talking about possessiveness. He said, greediness, with an exclamation point. People just want more and more. In a sense, that's true. If you start looking things outside of you as who you are and what your makeup is and what your identity is, then you're trying to get more and more all the time. People just want more and more without that sharing spirit. And that's true. That's what aggressiveness is all about. People forget that the essence of life is sharing. Even if the nature does not, even the nature does that. I'm sorry. Look at the sun, look at the stars, look at the rain, and etc. They are not rendering their services to themselves or seeking anything. But the entire humanity is what they are shining for and giving forth their things. Possessing things is a good thing, but to know how to share them with others is the best thing. I like that.
Funny you said that, because have any of you seen the Wonder Woman movie? The new one, Wonder Woman? It's exactly about that. It's one entity that cannot get enough. It wants more and more and more, and it caused chaos all over the world. And she had to pull it all back together by bringing people to their humanity. Love one another. Let's get back to humanity. That's how she pulled it back together. But the other entity was pulling it apart, and it destroyed the world because it could not get enough. It wanted more, more, and more.
Yeah.
That's the whole basis of that movie. And it just came out Christmas Day, the end of this year.
Yeah. Now, Brother Howard Singer, he's with, he's a wonderful brother. He's not with anybody, but he's fellowshipping with Brother Mitta in New Zealand. And I like this. He said, there is only one earth, but multiple worlds. Meaning the earth has no concept of possession. The earth has no control of ownership. The earth is just an organism of life-giving abundance. We need to end our world. I thought, whoa, okay, thank you, sir. This hit it right on the head. The earth is one, the entity is one, and it is neutral as it can be. It's just an abundance of life just flowing. But we create a world around that, and all of a sudden we're, so aggressive. And we need to come to the same spirit and nature as the earth has and end our world.
Because the earth has one clean understanding. Giving increases, taking decreases. And it lives by that. It just keeps giving and giving, and we keep taking and taking and taking. And there's got to be a restoration there. You got to be able to give. It teaches us in nature that sure, you want to gain, but when you gain, you need to turn around and give, because in that giving, it completes the cycle.
That's when I was in HR, and I'd done a whole lot of family help where different ones would get in trouble and maybe about ready to lose a job, and it's because of family issues or this or that, and I would kind of get them to come in, and I would say, now look, the HR, all this advice that I'm giving you and all these things I'm doing for you and all these programs I'm setting up for you and all the places that I'm sending you, this doesn't come free. We as a corporation, we have to pay for this. And so you're going to have to deposit money in the bank. Meaning every time you're absent from one of these programs that's going to help you, you just took money out of the bank. And you took more money when you did this, and you took more money when you got in the fight, and you took more money when you skipped the program, and I said, after a while, daggone it, your accounts, it's overdrawn. And you're going to come in here one day, and I'm going to say, you didn't ever give. You didn't ever give anything. And we're out. And I'm going to have to put a closed stamp on the account, and I'm going to have to send you out the door. Now, I don't want to do that to you. I love you, and I would tell them, the family, the mother, the wives, all of them fighting, I love you, but I'm going to have to put a closed stamp, a condemned stamp on this account at some point if you keep going out there and just not doing what needs to be done. And I would do that. That's what's going on now. That's what you're talking about. There's giving and there is taking. There is, you take things out of the Spirit and you give things back. And when there's a lot more taking than giving, at some point the account gets closed.
And we go right back into possessiveness, which leads to aggression.
Yeah.
I mean, it falls right back into the same cycle.
Another brother, and I like this, he said, the scripture says, the seed shall possess the gate of the enemy. So possession is not a bad thing. Thy seed shall possess the gate of the enemy. The Spirit is going to have you to possess things. When we consider who the enemy is, you'll possess the gate of the enemy. When we consider who the enemy is, really is, it's ourself in disguise. I believe that we are the world pushed out or externalized, pushed out, and now trying to regain itself, reflecting true oneness, trying to gain it all back. I believe that a perverted view of this, more deep scriptural concepts of having nothing and yet possessing all things, causes this aggression. And I agree with him, as Brother Wesley Dolphin. When we get a perverted view of giving and taking, when we get a perverted view of who our enemy is, we start lashing out, trying to conquer, trying to win, trying to take things. And we have that perversion of, I want to take. Like, I know a lady, I knew her mother, I knew her two daughters, and she said to me 3 or 4 times, this one is a taker, and this one is a giver. And she said, this one over here just takes and takes and takes and takes and takes. And this one over here, it's just in her. She gives and gives and gives and gives and gives. And I understood her. I could see that in life. And what we do, we get that perverted mix, and all of a sudden, I don't feel like I have anything. I am nothing. I'm nothing. And you start taking. When that's not what that means. That's a perverted thought about nothing. Nothing is the greatest position you can ever be in. When you are in nothing, you have all things. The Spirit came from nothing. When you get in that position, you've got all things. Mm-hmm. All things are yours. You're totally free. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. You have nothing, therefore I'm free. And now it's all mine. It's all mine. But we get all tore up over that possessiveness and aggressiveness.
Yeah. When I come to understand something, at first I have to realize that, I want to be blank. I want to know nothing about this situation. I don't have any understanding on it. And then that's when I'm able to open myself up to different things.
That's right. Yeah. That is, in essence, we were talking earlier today about people that, you'll get this judgment spirit, and you'll say, that Alan, he should have never done that, he should have never said that, he crossed a line, and he's in trouble now. And then we'll watch, and sure enough, something happens to Alan. And we, with our little judgmental spirit, say, see there, I told you, I knew it was coming. He crossed the line, he got himself in trouble. When that's a little perverted spirit in the whole mess.
Mm-hmm.
Because really what happens is, what we get angry with, what we begin to fear, because anger is just a feeling of fear. What we begin to fear comes upon us. So Alan says to me, and I'm just using him as an example, Don, you're a false prophet, you're a liar, you're spiritually dead, this is wrong with you and that's wrong with you. And then I say, okay, I'll just sit back and watch now. It ain't got nothing to do with me. It ain't got a thing to do with me. He's the one that had that anger, that malice, that fear of Don Parnell in him, and that fear of what Don Parnell might do if he gets out there as a false prophet. And that fear of his, and that anger of his, and that jealousy of his attracts.
Yes, it does. You're exactly right.
It attracts spirits, and spirits from the Lord. When all of them wanted Elijah's prophecy, then nobody wanted it, and 400 and some prophets were speaking, and here comes Micaiah out there, and they put the pressure on him, and they said, you speak what the Lord says to speak. You speak to me in the name of the Lord, Jehoshaphat says. And Micaiah says, okay, I saw an evil spirit from the Lord come and get in all the mouths of your prophets, and then Hezekiah, and then every one of you is Zedekiah, and they're all a bunch of liars, and you're going to go up and you're going to be destroyed. Where did that evil spirit come from? It didn't come from down on the ground. It didn't come from a devil. It came from the Lord.
Yeah.
The Lord, the Spirit, is neutral in all things.
The death angel and archangel.
Yeah. He's just neutral in all things. And you attract the positive or the negative of that neutral.
Yeah.
You attract it. There was a man who he said everything about me for the last 16 years. He would get up and just preach and berate me for what I came into, the Third Testament, and then the love divine, and all these things. He's no good. He's leading people. He's doing this and that. He's deceived the world. He's gone to the Philippines. And he would just rip me. And it went on for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. And I kept thinking to myself, I love him. It doesn't matter to me what he says. I learned to love the man, and I love him. And then I'd see a man over here. He would come in, and he would say this and this and this about me. And 3 months later, his son's dead. His son-in-law's dead. His wife left him. He died. And I'd think, what is the difference here? What is the difference? I didn't feel any different toward any one of them. In fact, every time I pray, Lord, bless them, help them. Don't touch them. Don't do anything. Just let it alone. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of anything they got to say. But anyway, started assessing it. And I said, what was the difference? How could this man for 16 years rip me a new one every service just about and go through life and enjoy life and die of old age 20 years after? And this man didn't take 3 months and he was dead, ripping and roaring and tearing me to pieces. This man, and the difference was, this man over here didn't take on, he didn't hate me. Therefore, the law of attraction didn't work on him. He didn't draw any spirits to him. And this man really hated me. He got angry, he got jealous, and he did this and that. And it wasn't because he hated me. It was just that his nature, the law of attraction, he drew evil spirits from the Lord. He drew evil spirits from the people. He drew sickness. He drew everything into himself, and he was gone in no time. And it didn't have a thing to do with whether Don Parnell was right or wrong. It had to do with how he felt inside himself.
All those things he feared came up on him.
Yeah.
He brought them on himself.
That's right.
Yeah. Just like Job. Things that he feared happened. Sickness.
That's right.
His family died. He attracted all those evil spirits from the Lord.
What you do is, when you fear something, the spirit is a neutral power. And your fear draws that out of him, and that comes to you, whatever it is, whatever it might be. That's what happens.
Yeah. And it comes right from you.
Yeah.
Right from you, out of your
Yeah,
mouth.
that's why
Yeah.
I've always believed that the greatest power on the earth is the will of a human being. It's what you will. And it doesn't matter what it is. If some people think that's bad, or other people think that's good, or it depends on the outlook of the person. But it's whatever you will attract in your life.
Yes.
And I think that's a great, wonderful power that people have. Maybe they just don't understand it, or they enjoy those things,
Is that old saying? Birds of a feather flock. Or whatever. Absolutely.
So the spirit is a neutral being. And it has everything in it. And you, as a person who are a part of that spirit, you draw from the source based on what you have in here. If I hold something in here, then I draw from the source. If it's a great thing, it feeds it more. If it's a bad thing, it feeds it more.
By choice, you turn the energy either positive or negative.
Well, to them, what we view as negative, it could be positive to them.
True. True. From their
It's just-
perspective,
it's
it
just,
could
yeah,
be.
it's just one.
Yeah.
It's what they're willing, what I'm willing to do, what I'm producing.
Yeah.
It's like today, we was playing some pool. And I took a shot that was one of the dumbest shots I ever seen in my life. And I said, that is just stupid, idiotic. How in the world did I do that? And Michael was on the other team, and he spoke up and said, not in my eye. he said, that was one of the best moves I ever seen. So it just depends on,
Your perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and really, what is negative and positive?
Yeah, what is it?
It's just energy that goes in a
It's-
certain direction. That's all it is.
And it's the
Or energy that's directed.
It's the same energy that goes out,
Yeah.
and you convert it to whatever's inside you.
Right. That's what makes us all different.
Yeah.
It's what makes every one of us unique and different. Right there.
The exact same energy went out of Micah that went out of those 400 prophets.
Yeah.
But the difference in the energy is what they converted it to be in their interpretation.
Still prophets.
That's right, every one of them.
Still prophets.
So that was kind of a thought that I wanted to express. kind of bring out.
You know, I'm gonna add one thing to that, thinking about what you said, the guy that more or less was gone in 3 months. You look at it like, wow, that was a negative or whatever label you want to stick on it, but maybe he needed to go, and that's the way his energy came out to take him out.
Yeah.
Because it was his time to go, and that's how it all started, him going, you know? And so we look at it like, man, he shouldn't have said that, look what happened to him. That's no different. What if he just died in bed without saying anything? It was his time to go, and that's just his path. And maybe vocally it was something that was disturbing to some, but that was his path to leave.
Yeah. Okay. There's some titles here that I'm just going to take my time about and read through them for a little while. This is 2020. The messages from about May until now. This is their titles, and as you think about them, just say what it might have meant to you. There was one of them that kind of led us into the whole Aquarian situation and looking into Aquarius. A world of regeneration. When we ministered that message, this is a world of regeneration. Anything come to mind at all? The effects of the Aquarian age. That was our first. Started looking around. The effects of the Aquarian age. Think back there in May, right in that area. We were watching what we came through. January started heating up. COVID began to come in. All these different things were happening. They began to shut the nations down all across the world. And we came into this message at that time.
Right.
The effects of the Aquarian
And
age.
that just opened up. It just brought the effects right here into humanity. It
Yeah.
just opened it up. Because there was another message you preached in May about, I can't remember completely the title, but mass movements.
Yes.
And I was here for that one. And when you preached that message, it wasn't a week later until
It began to happen.
it all began to happen. What was the man? I should know his name. I can't think of his name. That was killed, shot and killed by the police.
George Floyd.
George Floyd. That happened. And then everything, all the protests, it just
Yeah.
blew wide open.
There was a mass movement of theophany into the world for the last 20 years to raise up a generation to move in that direction.
Right.
It brought a whole armies into the world. Yeah. And that was in that effects of the Aquarian age.
Yeah.
How that the Aquarian age, I remember us talking about how the Aquarian age moved us out of Pisces and out of a vertical relationship of hierarchies into a horizontal relationship. And that's where I talked a lot about the leveling of the playing field. Was the effects of the Aquarian age began to topple all these hierarchies and begin to set up a level playing field where it brought everyone not to be equal, but for everyone to be able to express their talents, whatever it might be. I don't think anyone is equal. You've been given things I don't have, and I've been given things you don't have.
Opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, an
And
opportunity.
we broke down the levels to where everything was easily able to express itself under all the opportunities that came up. Whereas before, certain levels had to, just couldn't express themselves.
You were giving you opportunities. You were locked up in
No
hierarchy.
opportunities there. Yeah.
Frank Kluge on that topic. We must learn to give room for people's expression. By so doing, the bond of love won't break.
It's true. Who said that?
Frank Kluge.
Okay. Yes. So we talked about the effects of the Aquarian age and how that the Aquarian age was the throne room. That next message that we brought up was the vortex, the throne room. So we had moved into this vortex that was swiftly pulling everything into the Aquarian age, and how that it pulled us right into the throne room, where all the Holy of Holies is, where the pillar of fire is, where the seraphims, where the cherubims, and where the archangels are. We got pulled right into this great chaotic mind that was breaking open into the earth, and it was almost too much. You know, it wasn't too much. We are the Spirit. We were the ones bringing it, but it felt really overwhelming and almost too much. And that was the vortex. And then, because we kind of came across all those things, realized how serious it was and how we had come out of such a partial understanding and started breaking into a whole level playing field that we could just look across and see everything. Well, you can't look up and see vertical, but you can look across to everything. And the plane it became a plane. The great mountain of Zerubbabel, you've become a plane, and it changed everything. And so we talked on, we are built for the Aquarian age.
Yeah.
The Piscean people, the Piscean age, the Aries age, the Taurus age, they were not built for this age. And when you try to apply those tools, it's like going out into the field with a drill and try to plow the field. It ain't going to work. That tool ain't for this age. That tool's not for that field. And we kept going with all of those tools and began to realize, hey, we're playing around with the wrong tools here. We got into the wrong tool house. This is not the Piscean age, this is the Aquarian age. And when we got in there, we found out that we were built for the Aquarian age. And if you think that doesn't mean anything, you remember what William Branham said? I can't think of but in his prayer, he said, Lord, will you please not leave me here?
Yep.
Can you take me out of here? Because I am not built for this next age. I'm too nervous. I'm too upset. I'm not built right. Please remove me and don't lead me into this next age. And I got to thinking about it, and I said, he's really right. He would go into a restaurant, and somebody put a nickel in the jukebox, and they play a little old Beatles song that don't mean jack to us nowadays. It just passes on us like duck's back, and in fact, we kind of like some of them. We don't mind sitting there listening to them. But he fell apart. He couldn't stand it. So we're built for this age, and it means everything. How great you are, how you are completely built for the age. You cannot fail in this age. You are the theophanies that came here at the appointed time and came through all the educations and all everything else in order to build yourself up to walk into this Aquarian age and overcome it and become it.
So the Aquarian age help us to overcome each other every time.
Sure. The Aquarian age helps us to overcome.
whenever I think about the vortex, word vortex, anymore, I picture, you've ever looked up a torus, the shape of a torus. It's two circles that come around and they're always folding in on itself and coming back out and then folding in on itself and
Yes.
coming back out. It's, to me, that is almost like the Aquarian age or the mind. You're always coming back into yourself, then coming out, back into yourself, then coming out, expressing all those images. So, I mean, we went through the storm. We've been through the storm already in our mind, and it came out of the mind and went into the earth when we started accepting all the earth and the resurrection and all those things happened that we went through. And now it being manifested, we're beginning to go fold back in on ourselves and understanding.
Yeah.
Because everybody has to go through the same thing. Every single person. That's what we talked about in the process, the whole process of it.
Yeah.
It's just it just keeps coming back in on itself. The vortex, the storm in the mind.
Yeah. And we talked about the Aquarian age is upon us. And we talked about the brightness of Aquarius. How that it brings to light everything. This Aquarian age, it is the apocalypse. It is the apocalypse. It just unveils everything. And it's like I said, the spirit is a neutral spirit. So now, whether it's religion, whether it's corporations, whether it's politics, whether it's spirituality, science, I mean, the veils are just coming off. And the spirit is neutral. So what's underneath the veils can just be as ugly can be. And it just unveils it. And that's why we're seeing such horrible things going on in religion, slaughtering and killing, in politics, fraud just complete slaughtering and killing and destroying of so many different things and people, and corporations doing the same thing. The veils come off, and now what's happening in Aquarius, some of us know how to handle it. We've got ourselves built for the Aquarian age. We know how to handle it. We see it, we speak it, and others of us really don't know how to handle it yet. We can't fathom all of everything that was under that veil. Everything from spiritual, good things, beautiful things, overwhelmingly great things, to political things, to science, and so many people don't know how to unravel this thing and what to do about it. That's what, honestly, I'm just using an example, the whole political scene, that's why the whole world is falling apart, and all of these atrocities that they are uncovering, nobody's getting charged for them. They don't know what to do with them. They don't know what law to apply. They don't know. It's the Aquarian age. And we are built to handle it, and we are built to overcome it, and we are built to carry it further and take those ugly things and, mature them and correct them and do the things that need to be done. We're built for that. But the brightness of Aquarius has just opened up a beautiful, beautiful, unbelievable world, and it has brought about the Kraken. It has brought about the unbelievable things that are behind the veils of all these things. Pandora's box. It's opened it. So now we are in the middle of some of us who weren't ready. Alan said it best. You walked away. Man, I've been through things with people, unbelievable things. We sat, hugged one another, cried. I said, "It'll be okay. It'll be fine. We're gonna be okay." And then come to the apocalypse, the opening, the unveiling of things, and I got anything to do with you anymore. Bye. I'm like, wow, years and years and years, and but people don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to keep themselves together. And we, as a whole, being taught in this message, as a whole, know how. We know how to keep ourselves together. We know how to be one. We understand the oneness. We know all those things. We understand the whole concepts of duality. We understand the concepts of processes. We understand there's absolutely no devil out there. Devils, demons, Satan, all these, it's just processes people go through. It's chemical changes. It's all processes. It's just processes that we go through in life. The beast, the Antichrist, it's just processes. And we're able to control it because we turn inward and control the processes in our life. And by doing that, we are a steady sail in the collective body of the Lord. And some of us don't know how to do that yet. We don't know how to look at all of it and have our differences and still be a friend. Still love one another.
It shows you how deep that nature from the past ages is embedded in people. We learned to accept. Acceptance was a key thing for us. Just accepting things. Well, you say, well, yeah, I accept that person. Well, what about yourself? What about the things going on inside yourself that you learn to accept? And through that, gain peace, and then you can do the same thing with other people.
Yes.
But some people are so embedded with that spirit, they've gotten to a point where they don't know how to turn loose yet. They just haven't gotten there. And I think that's what we're here for. Like out of Livingston Seagull. When Fletcher told him, yeah, you've arrived, but you've arrived so that you can go back and show others how to get here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
And because we're built for that, there's nothing I can't walk out on in 15 minutes in my life. There's no possession. It doesn't matter what it is. I can just walk away from it. And I couldn't do that 3 or 4 years ago. Now I can do it easily. I can accept the change. I think it's that the female part of me coming out and saying, just accept, transition yourself, just move on, go on. And the more I embrace that, the less these things disturb me. And I can keep going. And I look for that in others, and I gravitate to it, because I know as we come together, we become stronger, and then we can help more people.
That's it.
Yeah, a lot of that, it's like, man, this is things that I've already lived out through in the religious realm, through the church and the division and all this stuff. And you look back on it, you're like, all this is unfolding in the earth now. This is just exactly what I just came out of.
Yeah.
It's like, did this just come out of me? Did this just come out of us? It just plainly manifested in the world in such a short amount of time because we just moved out of it.
Yeah.
We just dropped it all.
Yeah.
We entered into a new world, and I remember screaming. We screamed that for 2 or 3 years. We've entered into a new world. There's not going to be an end of this world. We're creating a new one. And that was the whole message. New creation, new.
That's right.
And everything just came out of us. All the old.
You remember we talked about the angelic ministry in Aquarius? How that we moved into Matthew 22, I think it is, and we moved out of the marriage process.
Yes, I remember that,
And when we moved out of the marriage process, we became angelic beings. And those angelic beings are manifesting themselves in the earth now in the resurrection. This is the resurrection. And we talked about the unveiling. We talked about the enabler. And we're always trying to make the enabler somebody else. And the enabler is not somebody else. The enabler is in us. And we free ourselves and enable ourselves to bring the things that we need into this age. Then we talked about the illusion of I am, and how that we have to move beyond that. We have to come to a point that we are that fountain spirit, and go all the way back into that concept of who we are and know who we are. And then out of that comes the pillar of fire, the I, and then out of that drops down into flesh, the am. And we move through that cycle all the time, and we do away with the illusion of I am, like it's a pillar of fire out there, or it's a great fountain spirit up there in the universe somewhere. It's me. I am the I am. Yeah. That's it. And the duality, we push for. That's when we really pushed into the whole concept, the duality being just taking the veil off of it and realizing that it's just one person, full of feelings, full of emotion, full of all these things, and my hatred, my anger, my jealousy, my envy, my whatever, all those things are just as much a part of me and serve just as much a reality of me as any other part of me does. And we need to stop looking at this as negative and this as positive, and just look at ourselves as a person and know that all of these things that are reacting around us, we are the nucleus, and it's all reacting around us to heat things up for the great explosion, for the great understanding.
The only duality is that in your mind, you're the one that divides things. All things are one, connected in it. You're the one that takes the stance and starts dividing things. And once you do that, you're living in a duality, and then you look outward and you see duality with everything else. When in fact, it's an illusion.
Yeah.
Stop doing it up here. It'll never make it down here, and you'll never see it out there. Everything will just become cohesive, and you'll see a oneness.
Yeah, a duality, right here.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where it's at. That's the only place it's at.
Oh, yeah, and it takes time to clean that out.
It does.
So you catch yourself saying it all the time. You've been dual with your vocabulary for so long that it's just a second nature.
That's right.
You catch yourself doing it all the time.
Yeah, it takes, you have to really stop yourself, thought by thought by thought, all day long to make that kind of change.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. And then we talked about we are the appearing. We're all time expecting things appear and disappear, and expecting angels and expecting all kinds of things, but we are the very appearing. There's no appearing outside of me and you. There's not something out here in the universe somewhere flying around, and at the right given time it's going to poof and appear and say, "Oh, Stefan, let me tell you what you are about to do." It's just not going to happen. We are the very appearing. Human flesh is the appearing of the Lord. The Lord is invisible till he puts on human flesh, and this is the appearing right here. And everybody's looking for the appearing. They say, "Oh, the Lord is, when the Lord appears, this is going to happen," and this is it. I know what the Lord is going to do when he appears. This is it. This is what he's doing. Looking for what is the Lord going to do when he appears.
A lot of people don't like the appearing of the Lord. They don't like you.
They don't like me. They don't like you.
They don't like themselves.
They don't like themselves.
Oh, but you don't understand, see. Man and God are not the same. So I can hate the messenger. I can still love the Lord. I can love the Spirit. I can love everything. I can love the message. I can love all that. I hate this SOB.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
that's the way people are. When this is the appearing of the Lord, how in the world can I say I love something over here? I understand what John means. How can I say I love something that I can't see, no appearing, and I love it, and then it appears and I don't love it?
I hate my brother.
Weird. Just strange to me. How can you have any understanding of humanity and that it is the appearing of the Lord and then say, I hate so-and-so, I don't like so-and-so, I don't like what's going on. These people are in trouble. This
They're not going to understand. They're just going to understand who they are.
I love the message, but I hate that messenger.
Yeah.
Shoot the messenger. That's what people have in their head.
Right. Kind of like what they do with Trump. Oh, I like what he's doing, but I hate that guy. I hate that guy.
That's
Why? I don't know. I hate him. But yeah, the things he's doing for me, yeah, I like that. Let that keep coming. I just hate him.
That's the ultimate example
It's
in politics.
yeah.
The Lord appears, and you hate him.
You hate him. Yeah, starts blessing like crazy, and you hate him for it.
Someone said, look at the United States, Brother Parnell. Look at the condition it's in. Look at all the stuff he did to us. I said, what? Just name me one thing. What did he do to you? He's a liar. I said, okay. I'm not even going to dispute that. What did he lie to you about? CNN says, I said, no. Well, Fox said, I said, I don't want to hear I want to know, what did he lie to you about? Well, I don't even know him. Well, how can you say he's a liar when you don't even know him? That's the way it goes, though. Not just, I'm just using some little petty example. It's the way it goes all the time.
Yep.
I hate that guy. Did you ever meet him? You know who he is? Did you talk to him? Did you sit down and have lunch with him? No, but I hate him. I can tell I hate him. I don't like him.
Just know.
How can you hate what is right before you in human flesh talking to you and say you love what hasn't even appeared? That was about we are the appearing. Then I had the vision, and you know what the vision was, and I won't get into a lot of that, but I believe that the vision that I had is shaping up 2021. I'm just watching it. I even took some things and I had them all written down, and I told my wife, I said, put these in an envelope. We did. I put stamps on it, and I put it in the mailbox, went downtown, threw it in the postal mail, and they stamped it, shipped it back to my house, had my address on it. I said, I'm just going to leave all that set, and about a year down the road, I'm going to pull it all out and say, here's what the Lord showed me, and now look where we're at. Because when I say it, here and now, it's like, that's your opinion. That's just you. That's your opinion. Well, I'm not speaking anything unless there's a flow of the Spirit to speak it. I'm not going to give you my opinion. I am going to speak from what I hear and what I see and what I understand and what the angel inside me, this Don Parnell angel inside me, is bringing out to me. I'm going to speak those things to you. But what happens is people say, That's good, Don, but that's your opinion, and this is what I think. And I told Patty, I said, I'm not even going to say some things anymore. Just write them down, put it in an envelope, wait for a year, unseal it, and say, hey, look what this is. Wasn't my opinion, it's what's going on in the Spirit of the Lord. I don't sit here and think up opinions that I want to give to you. I don't do it. I look at the visions and at all the movement of the Spirit in the earth, and I call things out the way that I see those things going. I don't give you my opinion.
And that's the movement of the earth. That's the people.
Yeah.
That's the voice.
So we came through those visions, and we'll see how all that goes. And I know it's 7:34. The dance. I brought 2 messages on the dance, and we found out some really, really, really great information from digging and looking at it. We found out that Jesus Christ, we found out that the woman nature, according to the Spirit, her symbol was Israel, the 12 tribes, and how that woman nature would be broke up and spread throughout the entire earth, all the continents and everywhere. It would be all spread out there. And then Jacob, in the 49th chapter of Genesis, gives a prophecy of where these different tribes would end up and what they would bring forth. And so we seen that, and we found that a couple of the tribes went in, and Jacob said it would be in the latter days. And we see where those tribes, 3 of them, went in, come down out of the Caucasus Mountains, the Caucasian Mountains. They dropped down through them. They came into the Germanic areas of Europe, and they were in Denmark and Belgium and Austria and Germany and all those places. And they began to raise up, and Jacob told them, you're going to be a cruel people. You're going to slaughter. You're going to do this and that. And here come World War I. Here come World War II. They moved throughout exactly the way Jacob called them. And we seen all that, and we seen where that Ephraim and Manasseh were adopted by Jacob. Ephraim to be the firstborn, Manasseh to be the second, and how that those 2 would be blessed and go throughout the earth. Well, we find out that Ephraim and Manasseh, they came down into those areas and then moved and migrated into the United Kingdom, or England, if you want to call them. Back then it was England, now it's the United Kingdom. But anyway, they moved into that area, and then of course they began to be shipped all over the world. They got shipped to Australia for prison camps. They got shipped to the United States and Georgia for prison camps. They got shipped to Canada for prison camps. They got shipped to New Zealand for prison camps. So Joseph and Manasseh kind of spread throughout the world, and the United States became the great nation that Jacob said they'd become. He said, you'll go out and you'll spread among the nations, and you'll raise up and you'll be chief among the nations. And right here, the United States is the spread of Joseph and Manasseh. So it's Ephraim. Well, when I seen that, I thought, what are the blessings of Ephraim? Now, I was reading all this, and I was looking at historians, and I was looking at the Bible. I thought, what are the blessings of Ephraim? So I started looking them up, and I looked, and I thought, what? You mean to tell me that Jesus Christ did not come out of Judah? He came out of Ephraim? And then I wrote a brother, because I had seen it for a long while, but I was just leaving it go. I thought, not important. Well, now I seen where it's important. I seen where the blessing of Ephraim was to carry the Messiah, the first Messiah 3.5 years, and the second Messiah 3.5 years. So I was talking with a brother, Ray Leffingwell, he was saying, well, I have studied this part, and I've seen where they came here, and they did this, and they did that. And right away I saw that Jesus Christ fulfilled the first half of the Messiah prophecies from the tribe of Ephraim in the northern kingdom, and then the second half of the Messiah prophecies through the opening of the seals and William Branham, and that was Ephraim right here, the United States. So Ephraim was where the Messiah came out of, exactly what Jacob said. Ephraim, out of you shall, or Joseph, out of you shall come forth the crown, the shepherd of Israel, and then there's all kinds of things. So when I seen all that, it was like, wow. Now I understand why and how this nation and Canada, that's the two main ones, and the United Kingdom, how they became so prosperous, because it's Joseph and Manasseh, and they were the ones who Jacob put the blessing on. So I said, man, this is nice. I'm starting to feel good about this. We are Ephraim. Well, of course, the Messiah sign, when it's all broken down, it spreads all across the earth, and it covers every nation, it covers every person, it covers every being, it covers every civilization. The Messiah sign brought an awakening and brought a redemption to set the female back into her proper position in the Christ spirit. Now, something I have a real trouble with is I keep calling it a he. He said, the Holy Spirit said, he did this, he did that. And I'm thinking, it's not a he. Somehow I'm working on that. It's an it. It. It's a thing. This thing moved through the earth. This it done all these things. And it is a male-female spirit. And it will progress and push out whichever of those attributes need to be used at the time. And it will continue to do so. This great thing that we call the Holy Spirit. So that was kind of where we come through, and how these natures move through the earth, spread themselves, and how that we don't see the Spirit as male-female. We don't see the male-female spirit as being separated. It's been together the whole time, and it's just ran through cycles. The male cycle of a transitioner, the woman's nature transitions us into new things. Then the testator starts setting everything up, and when he gets everything set just about right and he thinks there's nothing else and there's no more, boom, the transitioner says, hey, I don't like that picture there. I don't want this over here. I don't like this house. I want to move to another house. I want to take this. I want to do that. And the woman's nature catapults us into something else. And it's just a cyclic nature of one person, one spirit that has attributes of male, female in it. So that's kind of where we're going in 2021. I think the angel, the vision is shaping up to a year in 2021. I don't know what it's going to look like. What do you think it's going to look like? What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know.
I think it's going to start off in chaos. That's
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more of the same for
Yeah.
a while.
It's got to.
Yes.
It's got to,
Yeah.
overlap. It's got to start.
I think we're gonna carry the events of 2020 with us for years to come.
Yeah.
2020 changed the whole world.
Yes,
Yeah,
it did.
it did.
It did.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be here for quite some
So there will be a parts of it through 2021 that will just remain on the surface
Yeah.
until they're completely,
I think
the process has gone through
It's gonna be a
completely.
continual unveiling,
Yeah.
unveiling, exposing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damage
Constant.
here.
Yeah,
Yes.
it has to.
It has
I mean,
To eliminate all that, it has to continually expose it.
Yeah,
the headlines are only headlines for a day.
that's right.
So the woman does have the ability to drop all those things and cleanse itself.
Yes, she has the ability to cleanse herself. I think 21. I don't know. I don't know. I believe it could go full force ahead and us not see any change, and that will cause a lot of chaos. When I say not see any change, we'll go full force ahead in complete change, and it's going to cause a lot of chaos. Or there could be a pause. There could be. The heavens, kind of, you can look at it both ways. Uranus doesn't come back around and reveal itself, and Neptune doesn't reveal itself really until October 2023. And Saturn right now and Jupiter are revealing theirself, and just go look them up. Just look Saturn and Jupiter up. Someone said they're male and a female. No, they're not. Saturn and Jupiter are both male. It's strong male content. Rulership, ownership. It's male content driving that influence into the world. Establishment, rules, regulations. It's just driving it. And Aquarius is saying, no, 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 no. And so you're getting that chaotic masses angry and mad because as the veils come off, Saturn and Jupiter are saying, it's okay, we got laws to take care of that. We got laws to take care of this. Hold on a minute. We got laws. But there ain't nobody applying no laws. It's going crazy. It's going into chaos. That could continue in a big pause over here in October 2023. Neptune is it brings out more spirituality than any other planet. Neptune is a male-female spirit, and they say that. That planet it's one of the few planets that affects everything. And then Uranus is female. So if you pull a male-female influence in, and Uranus, the female, comes in with it, now all of a sudden the female gets back on top, so to speak. She gets back in the dance. If there's been a lull, a pause. But there may not be a pause. Right. We may keep going full blast here. Could be.
Whatever it is, we'll just take it one day.
I'm a stuff that says 2021 will be a greater revealing of us, the female.
I agree. I agree. Anybody else have anything about 20 or 21? They're all afraid to. Their fears are going to come upon them in 21. I'm going to sit here and say this with all honesty in my heart. I'm not afraid of anything. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of religion. I'm not afraid of politics. I'm not afraid of the economy busting. I'm not afraid of militaries. I'm not afraid of nations. Because the moment you start projecting those fears out of yourself, the law of attraction is the Holy Spirit, the Spirit in you that has the law of attraction in it, will begin to set up circumstances around you to quench those fears. He'll put you through this, he'll put you through that, he'll put you on a heap of ashes, he'll put you in a war here, he'll put you in a war there. Whatever needs to be done to quell and quench those fears and for you to feel like I can overcome. That's what he'll do. It is neutral. It is neutral. Your feelings and emotions we'll just bring that energy in, and it's going to come out however you feel, however you think, however you act. It's going to come out. Anything else?
Well, we'll see you next year.
Have an excellent 2020 ending. Have a great new year beginning. And in 2021, all I know to say is tighten that saddle, hold on to that horn. 'Cause I think there's going to be some bucking going on.
Yeah.
It is a rodeo.
Get ready to ride.
Get ready to ride, bro. Better strap that hat on. Love bless. With the authority that's in you, don't be afraid of any of it. Don't be afraid. You bring many things upon you and your little personal home and family and individual life by having fear in you. Just don't be afraid. Step out there. Bring that neutral energy in, which is Christ, and then let it flow out in love, compassion, just all of the great things that we can be. Just let it flow that way. Love bless.
You too, all of you.